Okay, welcome back to week 15. And we are talking about strategic decision making. So the first part we covered in first video, we covered the 4 areas impacted the most by strategic decision making. All of a sudden my tongue is tied and I feel like I'm tripping over my words, so I apologize. In this section, we're going to cover a model that you can use for strategic decision making. And I think I told you in the last video, grab your pen and some paper because you're going to want to take some notes. This model is really, really good for determining what to do next when you are making decisions. Okay. So grab your pen, grab your paper. I'll wait here. All right, let's do it. Let's get started. First off, define the problem. That's step 1. This is a 5-step process. And the first thing is define the problem, right? So what exactly is the situation? What is the problem that you're making a decision about, or what is the area of concern? Just like to say problem because it's kind of all encompassing, but it isn't necessarily a problem. It could be an opportunity. It could be anything. So ask yourself some questions about the problem or the opportunity. So for example, like, this will help you to define it. So what is it? What's the opportunity? What's the problem? Like define it really, really well. Can it be solved? If it's a problem, and for the sake of going through these questions, I'm just going to treat it as if it's a problem, right? Can this problem be solved? Yes or no? And is the problem the real problem, or is it just a symptom of something bigger? Example, if you have all of a sudden customers that are asking for refunds on things, they're just like over and over again, you're getting day after day, you're getting customers that want refunds, and that's new to you. The problem is a symptom of the problem is they want refunds, but that's not the actual problem. Maybe something bigger at play. It could be maybe your product, somehow the quality has gone down. Maybe there's something wrong with, there's an impression or a perception of your brand that people don't want to work with your brand anymore. So you need to know, is what you're solving the actual problem, or is it just a symptom of something bigger, right? So you got to look into it. You also want to ask yourself, does the problem need to be solved immediately, or can it wait, right? Does this need your attention right now? Got to solve it today, or you're going to have very big problems? Or is it something you just need to be aware of and you can monitor for some period of time? Is there any chance the problem's going away by itself? If you don't do anything, what's going to happen, right? And then finally, what is your objective for solving the problem? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get rid of the problem in total? Are you trying to find solutions or workarounds? Like, what's your objective, right? You need to know going in, what is your objective for what you're trying to do with respect to this problem? Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is all about gathering information. So you want to talk to key players, right? Is this a customer issue? Are there, key stakeholders that you can talk to? Do you have employees or team members? Like, you want to gather information from people. What do they know about it? And then you want to figure out, get all the facts and data together, right? So don't work off of assumptions, and don't work off of, stories that aren't provable facts. You want facts only. We don't want to make decisions off of the wrong information. And you want to ask yourself, what am I not seeing? What's missing from this picture, right? Because so frequently when we're really close to a problem, we don't see the whole thing, or we miss key pieces of it. So that's why you want to kind of poll other people. There's not very often that you're going to hear us say you should go poll other people or ask other people's opinions. But in this case, you want to ask other people because you want to get as much insight into the problem as possible so that you're solving the right problem and that you understand in total what's going on. Okay. Step 2. So step 1, define the problem. Step 2, gather the information. This is your analysis, right? Excuse me. Step 3, come up with some options and then evaluate those options. So every problem, there might be multiple solutions that you can go with. And this step, you're figuring out what are all the possible solutions and then evaluate what would happen with each of those solutions. You want to think long-term. Again, think back to the first video here where we talked about those 4 areas that are really impacted: change and risk, analysis, implementation, and your growth. So consider those 4 areas and think, if there's 4 different possible solutions to this problem that I'm having, what are the impacts of each option? If I go with that particular option, you really, really want to know, you want to think through it. Find the options that show the most promise, that are maybe the easiest to implement, the quickest to implement if this is a problem that needs to be solved immediately. The options that are the most, that offer the most cost savings if it's a financial issue. It's just only, this depends, it's problem by problem, right? So you need to consider all the options for the solution based on the problem that you're facing. Like, I can't tell you in this video which one to take because it could vary depending on, it will vary depending on what the issue is. Step 4, choose the best action. So based on the options available to you and the evaluation that you did, pick the option that's going to be the best for you. Sometimes there's no best option. There's just the least worst. Like, that's just the reality of life and of business. And so just know that sometimes you're going to find yourself in that situation. It's totally normal. But oftentimes you're going to have really great options, or at least, one great option. And so you can to choose from. So it's not always worst case scenario. And then finally, step 5, implement and monitor. So whatever the decision was, whatever option you decided to go with, that you evaluated and you decided, yep, this is what we're going to do, implement that, monitor it, make sure that you're getting the results that you thought you would. So you want to have a process for implementing it. You want to have a process for monitoring it. You probably want to, be looking at it regularly. Initially, it's like multiple times throughout the day. And then as time goes on and you see that the solution is working, kind of back off of it a little bit. And if it's just a temporary solution, you want to have a plan in place for when you're going to repeal the solution and roll back to what you were doing prior. Make sure that you were able to do measurements of the impact and how the solution is working whenever possible, because data doesn't lie. So remember, Corey always says you can measure anything. So figure out how to measure and then pay attention to what the numbers are telling you and what the data is telling you. And if you need to make another decision, then go through the process again to actually resolve the solution. So this is just a really simplified model for, making strategic decisions. It considers the options, it considers the business, it considers your long-term plans, it forces you to evaluate and pay attention to what you've implemented, and it gives you the best chance of being able to move quickly if you need to implement something else. It also gives you a really good option for implementing successfully the first time. So that's all we have for week 15 of strategic decision making. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you.